All right, welcome to the addendum to step 16. I heard back from the person I'm building this for, and they did want me to glue these on, the suspension pieces underneath for the wheel sets. So I'm doing that real quick as I'm prepping to get this to go. So this is the last, well, this is. So you can see here I put the number on the side, 3. Here's part 3, just in pencil, no big deal, should be easy to clean off. I mean, if nothing else, wet a Q-tip and rub it on there and get rid of it. But all of these stations are exactly the same as far as attaching them. The difference is the length of these hoses and where those hoses get attached. Not that big a deal, honestly. The one problem that I see, and I didn't notice this until I started prepping for this particular I'll grab this particular step, is where this piece here comes down on this side and on this side. It's literally right in front of the cylinders here, so the hosing has got to go kind of through them, and the instructions did not deal with that. They just kind of expect that you're going to run the hose in there and call it good. I couldn't find a photo of this in particular in real life. I did take a look for it. Lots of stuff out there for the deck itself. So if you have an interest in looking at the real deck itself, but all of the important thing to note is that all of these pieces here, at least on, here, I'll flip this over. On the top, these are all flush in the real thing, just like you see. Oh, yeah, just like you see here. That is how they are in real life on the real vehicle. Underneath, sadly, nobody really wanted to take a photo, crawl underneath there, but I'll keep looking. If I find one, I'll try and address how that got wired in particular in that spot. I am going to guess that maybe in real life, rather than each one of these being exactly where they are, these might have been pushed up further. I could see the military doing that on each side so that you have ease of access, because that's actually what they would want for dealing with those units for the crew. Not because they want to make life easy for your average soldier, but because they want your average soldier to be efficient with their time. So not to cast any illusions. Anyways, regardless of that, we're going to be gluing these on. So for doing it this way, building this all up, then painting it and doing stuff, what's going to end up happening, and I know I talked about it before, I don't have a wheel. Let me get the rubber wheels out real quick here. I'm just going to grab one. Don't be too upset with me. So here's the rubber wheel. Here's the hub. Normally these just slide on. I mean, they're not that big a deal, but they just slide on. But when you're going to paint all this up first and then put the wheels on, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. So when I was testing this out, I found that you can put this on here and I can glue these interior hubs into place where they need to go. And there's a very specific way to put these on to do that. And I think I actually grabbed the wrong side. I did. That's an exterior one. So what we're going to do is glue these interior ones on. The holes on the hub actually fit right over the bolt pattern on the disc brakes. So we just glue these on so they're on, and then they'll be sitting on here glued. Everything gets painted up. You come in with this wheel, slide that on over that. It's a little tricky, but you can do it. And then after you've done that, you can take the wheel with the outside. I'm going to put this on like it's an outside one. You can put that on the outside, and then you can see you can just squeeze that in and then rotate it and glue it on, and then boom, you've got everything done. There you go. You've got everything done, and you've been able to paint it with these on, so you can get all this hosing and stuff on. Now, when I build mine, I am not doing it that way. I will do a lot of pre-painting. Like, I would have this all pre-painted. I would personally pre-paint these units, have the wheel, and then get the wheels on, have that all done as a sub-unit, and then glue this on and run the wires. And it's going to be a pain. I'm not even going to try and sugarcoat it, but it's going to be our pain together. So, in this case, let's get down to doing this so I can show you what's involved, and then I'm going to do this. So then in the final reveal, in the final discussion of this kit, you'll see this with all of these units glued on. So I'm going to back these off, and I got to get this into the camera, so I'm going to take those off, being careful not to mess with any of this stuff. Even though this works a little bit, don't screw with it. Don't mess it up. You won't be happy. Now I got to get my glue. So what I'm doing is putting the glue mainly on this part right here. Saturate that pretty well. And then put that on best I can. Like I said, I do not want to break any of the parts off I've already glued on. I've worked so hard on it. What I want to do though is get this set up. Now, as far as I can tell, there is no key, so this should just go on as best as it can. So keep that in mind. This is just going on, I guess. Take this, and again, really glue that face portion of it more than anything. Right there, because, and I'll show you, it kind of hangs over that. You can see it's kind of hollow in the back. So get that on. Don't squeeze it too hard, because I'm quite sure that you can buckle stuff, and you do not want to do that. Just get that glued in. It's glued on. Set this aside for a couple minutes if you want, whatever you need to do. And make sure that it's nice and rock solid in there. Next is gluing this in, and make sure that the tab right here is oriented where the tab is. These things, I noticed, you can twist them this way and get them mostly down, so you think, oh, that's the right direction. The elbow points towards the neck, and the tab goes where the tab goes. So that's a good thing to pay attention to. I'll put some glue, and I want to put a good dousing in there. I want this to be rock solid. So then I take this and put this in there. I know that it's seated the way I want it seated. There we go. And this is the part where you're going to want to be patient, because, well, at least I'm using regular model cement. If I was using super glue, it'd just be until the super glue sets, but I don't want to use super glue on this. I want this to be an integrated part of the trailer. I want this solid. So you want it to look like this. You want it on the sub bed, the frame. It's not really the framing, this is the framing. So the sub bed of this that it's attached to, you want this on there. And you can see it still has some wiggle room in there. We're going to have to make sure that this is set the way you want it, you know, straight. And you want to make sure that in this axis from the front to the back that it's not leaning slightly in any direction. Also, because I've already got these parts built up, I just found a box. It's just a little white carton box. I think something came in it, but it's the right height to where I can have this. It's rock solid, and the overhang, it allows the trailer arms to overhang the ramps without me bending or breaking them. And also on this end over here, you know, this is really hard. Anyways, the neck is on this side, and in both directions I'm not touching anything, I'm not hitting anything, so I can do this work and push down solid on it without worrying about that. Now this has started to set. That's good. And I am just going to eyeball it here. Now, because this went on relatively easy, and I've got another number 3 right here, I'm going to do the next one. Well, first I'm going to place this, see how hard it's going to be to do the wiring. It won't be hard, but it's going to be annoying hard. So let's do them one. Let's just do that one, and then maybe I'll add another one at the end if things go well. So I've got my forceps right here, knowing that the 2 shorter ones are going to go obviously to the front, and the 2 longer ones are going to go over here in the back. And on the real vehicle, these things are loose. They're not like super tight or anything, because they move with it. Now, as we talked about before when we did them on the other side, hey, look at that, my dehumidifier turned off. You want to get rid of any of the wire that may be poking through, but you want to keep the wire inside the tubing. I wish there was an easy way, I don't know how, and I haven't spent a lot of time on it, to where you could maybe get like the first millimeter of wire out of there, because then it probably would pop on those connectors. Maybe. Let me phrase that as a maybe. So now I need something to put glue, and I've got just this little, there we go, got this little blob. I've got a piece of something from a model that I have no idea what it is. Okay, so this is a good thing to learn. Pre-bend your wires. There's that. Now you notice I just said that and I didn't pre-bend this wire. So those are attached there. Now, taking my advice, because these are shorter and most likely going to be more annoying, not less, I will pre-bend these wires. It's about the best I can do. Just need to know that this is going to take work. Now I'm working, generally I like working top to bottom or inside to outside, so that I can have the most working environment as needed. It looks like the glue set for just a second there. Okay, so that means that when I'm gluing it, I'm doing the furthest, hardest ones, you know, whatever away, so that as we progress, we're doing the easier ones or the more accessible ones at the end to make it a lot easier to connect the wires. There we go. So this is what I'm going to end up having them look like. Now, in real life, these droop down, but at this point in time, I'm not worried about it because I'm going to get a, oh, doggone it, where to go. So what I'm going to get is something like a piece of wire or a much finer applicator for the super glue. See if this wooden piece works. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna add just a little bit of glue there and there, and that'll fill it. Now it's still gonna be, and same thing with the back. It's just a fine applicator, so I'm putting a small dot on there. But the point is that as that super glue dries, then when I flip this over, I can tease these down and make them look more accurate if I really feel the need to do that. Now this thing looks good in direction, but now is the time to figure out if you want anything changed, and it's starting to set really nice. So that said, just to show you how to position this again, I'm going to do another one right here. So again, glue in there. Like so. And then just attaching this. Now, the glue may, if you put it on, come through these holes. Just be aware. You don't have to worry about fingerprints in that because the other one's going to be gluing onto that. But still, be aware. And again, and then like I did before, gently but firmly, not overdoing it, push these together. Get that to be nice and set. There we go. And then I want to put the glue. The nice thing is if you don't mind the space, and you want to work in a smaller area like this, you could technically glue all of these on. Just making sure everything is straight and level and beautiful the way I want it. Now, I think you will have some leeway after this is all attached to be able to adjust it as necessary. You know, let's say one of these ends up leaning a little bit to the right or the left or something. Well, the other option is after you get all these on, flip it over and put it on the wheels and let them rest on that and see if they all touch. This gets complicated. I mean, there's no two ways about it. This is a very complicated step. All these units, all these wires, and if you super glue these on, you're kind of stuck with, well, that's where it is. And these heights can be deceiving because these wheels go up and down. And I think that's part of the charm, if you will, in that, you know, this one only goes up this high and stops. This one goes up, supposedly goes up higher. At least that's what it looked like from the side. But then you can scrunch this one down more, and this one doesn't scrunch as much. And so you can kind of get self-leveling with that. This is why the gimmicks are not my favorite things in model building, but I understand the enjoyability of having things move. So there, I've got the second one on. I'll glue on the wiring again, just like I did the one there, and go from there. That's the addendum to step 16. I will be doing also a final addendum to step 21, just gluing these pieces right here, these chocks, gluing those onto the trailer. I did a little bit of research, so there's a little bit more to add. So thanks for your time. See you for the next addendum.